Okay. So we're going to talk a little bit about living from the winner's circle. Okay. The winner's circle. So to answer the question, which I'm sure you're going to say, but Sophia, again, yes, but I don't experience it. I don't see this. Okay. So there are two realities that are at play here. There's our positional reality, which is present tense, means it's already taken place. For example, a good example is by his stripes, we are healed. Not we will be healed. One day I hope to be healed. We are healed. Is our experiential reality. Okay, that's what we actually experience. So we can say, I'm no longer a slave. I'm not in bondage. I'm free. That's my position. But the way I experience it is that I'm still struggling. You know, I'm still struggling with food. I'm still struggling with confidence. I'm still struggling with loving others. Okay. But this is something that has taken me a long while to understand. So I'm hoping that it will shortcut it for you, is that God speaks to us from our positional reality. God speaks to us from our position in him, in Christ. Even though we may be experiencing a different reality. Okay, we may say we don't feel loved, but God says you are loved. Okay. So this reminds me of years ago when God would keep speaking to me and saying, I'm free from emotional eating. I'm not sure if any of you remember this story. The Lord would keep saying to me, Sophia, you're free from emotional eating, as I'm sitting there crying over a bucket of ice cream. I thought I was going crazy, right? It took me 2 years to figure out, and kept asking the Lord, what do you mean? Okay, how am I free from emotional eating? It took me probably about 6 years, I'm sure, to fully get what he was talking about. But that's the example. God was trying to speak to me from my positional reality. You're like that red ball positioned right there at the top, right? Whether you experience it right now or not. So our goal is to turn that positional reality into something that we experience every day. The enemy wants us to focus on our condition, because as long as he can get us to focus on the problem, we're not going to spend time thinking on the solution. He's going to keep on trying to remind us that there is a problem here. You've got a problem. This is a problem. Oh my goodness, this is really bad. That's what he wants us to do. But the Spirit wants to bring us to the reality of our position, and that's where the challenge can be. But we must speak and live our position. And when we do this, our position changes our condition. It's a bit of a tongue twister. But we must speak and live from that position, as Christ has said. When we do that, our position will start to change our condition. Does that make sense? I only see Beth. Does that make sense? Yes. Okay. Right. So 1 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 14 to 15 is Jesus said that there are many things that he wanted to teach the disciples, but he couldn't at that time. But that when the Spirit comes, he will reveal this to us. As we go through our classes, these are these truths, right? If the enemy knew what was going to happen after Christ died on the cross, he would have done everything to keep him alive. Yeah. And the teachings that Paul wrote to the different churches is the continuation of this mystery. The mystery is Christ in us, the hope of glory. This is the mystery, right? This is what's really key. I've created 2 diagrams for you. One is a natural woman, which as I was writing it, the Lord started bringing to my memory that song. Does anybody know that? I feel like a natural woman, you know, we've heard that for years, right? May not be quite a good thing, comes to think of it, right? So we're basing a lot of this, when you get a chance, read 1 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 14 to 15, which you'll see of these things. So there's a natural woman, and I'll show you briefly on my next slide. Look, I've been really, really creative, April. You'd be proud of me. And then there's the spiritual woman. She's in blue, right? But we're going to look at the natural woman. I say this with no condemnation. I don't believe we're like fully in the natural woman. And when I say natural woman, the Bible talks about new man, but I just thought it'd be cool because I've made this an exclusive women's course, right? So natural woman, spiritual woman. We're probably all got a mix of both here, okay? So typically a babe in Christ doesn't necessarily mean how old you are, okay? Or how many years you've been saved, as we all know that, okay? She probably hasn't realized her real or true reality in Christ yet, okay? Potentially hasn't learned to fully discern, okay, the voice of God. Normally the reason for that is because she's governed by the 5 natural senses. So if she feels something, she'll do it. If it sounds good, she'll do it. If it tastes good, we eat it, right? If it smells awesome, it's like, don't stop me. Take me to wherever that smell's coming from, right? Typically has a mind of Adam, which we'll talk a little bit about later on, dominated by human nature, and often on the milk of the word. So like learning the basic elementary stuff. However, my husband was teaching on Monday in our fellowship about the elementary workings of Christians is raising people from the dead, it says in the Bible. And I said, well, I must be still on the very beginnings of the word, because I haven't raised anyone from the dead, nor have I tried. So I was like, wow, okay. So sometimes our standards can be, as I said in my Renewing the Mind book, often we are living at levels way below what Christ died for us to have. We're often living just way, way, way beneath, right?